Welcome my fellow gamers, I'm the Body Counter, and today I'll be giving you my review on Battlefield 1 so far from what I've played. And yes, I'll address the Deathclaw in the saloon. I'm sorry for the odd schedule of uploads recently. I know it's been irregular, and I know it must be frustrating for some of you, but exam revision has remained my main priority throughout the recent weeks, and the next few weeks to come. I'm so sorry about this delay in the schedule, but without further ado, let's dive right into this. So the beta has ended and the single player trailer just released, and I'm happy to say that I am equally excited for both multiplayer and the campaign. But this video will focus around what I thought of the beta, what I experienced, and what I loved and hated about it. So I'll be listing topics and points in the game that I thought were good, great, or well implemented in terms of being positive, and things that were bad, very poor, or needed to be improved. Number 1. Plane combat. I've heard from two of my friends that I'm actually a really good pilot. This wasn't always true in Battlefield 4 however. Now the obvious reason being that the biplanes in Battlefield 1 were much slower, which simply made it more easier for me to evade obstacles and enemies. But also how one of the fighter plane weapon kits was perfect for me, for countering bombers and attack planes alike. The planes were perfect in terms of speed and maneuverability for me. Though, the gunner's seat of the attack plane seemed very weak, and it was hard to fire at moving targets when a pilot was moving very erratically, such as myself. Number 2. Melee combat. Oh boy was it fun. Now, I'm into my blood-filled games, like Dead Space and Dying Light, so this addition of bloody kills with knives, maces and hatchets just filled my lust for blood. The bayonet charge is not only fun and a great way to kill someone with a fast burst of speed, it also worked well to cover distances. The melee animations are also faster than Battlefield 4's knife stabs, allowing time to evade fire or simply get back into combat. Though at times, not all the time, there would be awkward moments when a melee kill would not register, which has happened before in Battlefield 1 of course. Number 3. The sounds. The cries of the soldiers charging, the sound of bullet casings leaving the ejection port of a gun, and even the satisfying metallic sound of getting a kill. The sounds were amazing. Number 4. The graphics. The game looked amazing. I played on Xbox, so I don't have your fancy high resolution, high textures shit like the PC players brag about, but I have to admit, even on PC, the game looks even better. To the point of seeing waves of sand on Sinai Desert blowing away against the ground when prone. But even on Xbox, the graphics remain even better than that of Battlefield 4. The textures of metal, rock and sand are definitely improved from a desert map such as Silk Road. Number 5. The classes. I was pleased with every class within the situations they faced. Out of all 4 classes, I became attached to the Assault class the most, for good reason, which I will talk about soon. And then Support. Scout seems so much better for me now, mainly because I couldn't snipe for shit in Battlefield 4, but thanks to increased bullet travel for the snipers and reduced bullet drop, I got amazing streaks when counter-sniping. Even shot down a parachuting trooper at one point, which would virtually be impossible for me in Battlefield 4, I have to admit. Scout's flash flare gun and K rounds had to be my favourite gadgets, especially since the K rounds could instantly destroy the Rolls-Royce unarmoured car. And the flash flare gun was far superior than a flashbang from previous Battlefields, simply because it lasted longer, could be shot from farther away, and had a larger range. Medic was the least played class of the beta, mainly for the lack of points received for doing what they do best. And it seemed like no one ever revived friendlies, or wanted to be revived thanks to the new respawn system. The battle rifles on the other hand, let's say I now despise my friend after he deliberately set out to hunt me down, like a goddamn T-1000. The grenade barrel attachment was very underused for me myself, so I don't have much to say about it. Unlike a lot of people during the beta, I tried to revive as many people as I could, same with my mate Angus, and the syringe was so much better than the defibrillator in terms of speed of usage, but it did lack in range compared to the defibrillator when reviving. Support granted a lot of powerful high-capacity guns compared to other weapons in the game. Something taken for granted at times considering how in World War I, full automatic weapons were merely prototypes of its time. Having these weapons really packs a mega punch against a large group of enemies when they only come paired with battle rifles or bolt actions. The support's tripwires were useful, but at times unpredictable in where the wires would be set, but just like their future grandson, the Claymore. With the support's default ammo pack, I love the feature of throwing it, giving the pack more range for allies to use it. Assault was my favourite for the fact that the tanks were a constant annoyance and raised my assault levels to Dead Sea proportions. Having access to such powerful explosives was a great deal for me and my friends. I was the only one who always preferred to go as assault. My mate Angus went as medic mostly, and Josh went as support a lot of the time. The rocket gun was absolutely brilliant. I found it easy and satisfying to use. Along with the anti-tank grenades, they proved to be excellent tank destroyers. Number 6, the elite classes. These bad boys were a ton of fun. From the close range engagements of the Flame Trooper with his Flammenwerfen, to the sheer long range devastation of the Tank Hunter, to the heavily armoured Zero Fuck Sentry. The Sentry had to be my most preferred class, for its seemingly high endurance to damage. Wielding a water-cooled LMG, the Sentry was a truly menacing threat to individuals or even small squads. Having no gas mask was no problem for me, seeing how ineffective the mustard gas was in the beta. The LMG slowly got more accurate the longer you fired as well, and running out of ammo was never a problem. Although sentries were vulnerable to bayonets and other melee-related attacks, as well as explosions. Essentially, the sentry was super resilient to small to medium caliber firearms, which is just what I needed at times. The Tank Hunter was always my second choice, probably my first if it didn't need the song 500 miles to get to Objective Edward. In fact, I wouldn't even call it the Tank Hunter by its name, I prefer just Hunter. Simply because it could kill infantry in one shot, devastate stationary guns, horses, Rolls Royces, and even deal a decent amount of damage to planes. Not just tanks. But besides the heavy damage and range, the Hunter had to use a bipod to fire its weapons, and had no increase in health like the Flame Trooper and Sentry. I never really went as the Flame Trooper, mainly because of the map. It seemed the objectives C and D were most ideal for this elite. The Flame Trooper melts any infantry within a second or two with direct shot. The Flammenwerfen also did damage to armoured cars as well, which surprised me. Also coming with a small health buff, this elite is perfect for close range engagements and clearing houses of any targets, and gas and fire are never a major threat. Number 7. The tanks were powerful forces in the beta, which is the exact reason why I went assault half the time. Tank customization was very useful for different situations. The light tank was far from light in reference to armor, so hoping that gets nerfed in the base game. The land ship was strong, as long as it was full and all angles were covered. And I never really tried the heavy tank, but from what I've seen with my fair share of combat with them, it's thick as hell, and took a ton of anti-tank grenades to take down. Number 8. Horse combat. Horses paired with a cavalry soldier provide a great combination of support, sniping, and melee combat. Using ammo and med bags for the allies for support, and as a cavalry unit, you come with an overly accurate lever action rifle while riding, and a saber for devastation up close on one side. Sure, there was some issues with getting your horse stuck, but hey, beta everyone. Oh, and also they're too strong. I'll stop here for now. Let's just label this video as part 1, as I have more to talk about later and didn't want to make the video too long for you guys. I hope you all enjoyed my thoughts of the beta, and again, I am sorry about the delays recently. I have at least 3 weeks of revision and exams left, so after that, uploads should go back to every 2 weeks once again. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to keep up to date when I upload next, and as always, continue gaming on.